Okay, so pie charts are pretty easy to make. Again, the thing to do is make sure you have your table all done first, then go in and make your chart. It saves you a lot of time and effort if you do it that way. Pie charts start to fall apart when you put more than 5, 6, 7 categories in there, because it gets the wedges, the slices get way too small and it becomes too hard to read and all that sort of stuff. And again, pie charts are just for proportions or comparisons of stuff, percentages. That's all they're good for. But then, you know, it's one of the most used charts in business, so it's a good one to start with. All right. If you want a more complex chart, then you're going to want to switch to a column chart. And a column chart is just a bar chart. And you can have more than one category of data. You can actually have 2 categories of data here now, or 2 kinds of data. And you can have many more groupings and all that sort of stuff. Okay. So here I've got the story I want to tell is income breakdown of household method of access to the internet for 2010, and the Census Bureau happens to collect that stuff. That first link just takes you to the front page of the census. If you ever need data, you just go there. But I've already got a place, so I'm just going to go to the source table. Then it takes me to this place. Now, most websites these days that have data allow you to download it as an Excel spreadsheet. So, if you've got this is great. If not, you can go back and use that web trick that I just showed you to pull the data in. You should rarely have to type the information in. All right. So the stuff I need is in table 1B. So just click on where it says XLS and open it with Excel. And it should open as a separate workbook. Okay? Now that's just a workbook, but it's been formatted quite heavily to make it look the way it does there. But it's just a workbook. Now, what I need, again, I don't need all this data. So I want to create that little compact table so that I can make charts off of it. So I find the data I want, in this case, and it's the income here. So I'm just going to, all 5 of those, well, let's just do that, and then just across like that. Okay? So I'm just going to copy all that data. Well, maybe. There we go. Copy into my original workbook. Now, you got choices up here. The first one is to copy it and preserve the formats that you saw there before, but in this case, I don't want to see all those formats. So the next one over is just copy values. So it'll just copy the values and leave it unformatted. So we'll pick that one. Okay. So we've got income over here now. So let's see if I remember how this looks. Come back to here for a second. I need, the first number I need is that, I just need the percentages here. So I just need that 5.6 for dial-up, DSL, cable, and fiber optics. I'm only going to just do 4 of them. So let's go back here. This is dial-up here. And then this next one here is DSL. And then this is oops, nope, that's not right. Is it? I get my labels mixed up here. Let's see. Yep, DSL, cable, fiber optics. I was right. Okay, so I'm just labeling the columns I want, and now I'm just going to go back and knock out all the ones I didn't label. Oh, man. again, the whole idea here is just to build a little table of the information you wanted. Like that, okay? So I've got no blank rows, no blank columns in that little block. And I have the data I need to tell the story that I want. I want to look at, see if there's, who likes to use fiber optics the most versus DSL versus dial-up and all that sort of stuff. Okay. So, a little table like that. I pick a cell in that block, and I do insert. And this time we want this one, insert a column chart. And I'll just pick the first kind here. There's my chart. All right. Now, same stuff, same rules apply here. You need a good chart title. So we probably should change this to like preferred access method for 2000 in the US for 2010 or whatever, some, fairly descriptive title. So I'm just going to put access methods 2010 here, but that's not just to save time, but you really want a bigger title than that, access. Or 2010. There we go. Okay. All right. Now, the idea here is when you build a chart, you should be able to put it on a blank piece of paper and hand it to somebody, and they should be able to understand what that chart means within a few seconds. If you've done that, it's a great chart. If there's things on there you can take away and they can still do that, take them away. Because anything you take away, you want them to focus on the picture here. So, a couple of things. If I were to hand that to somebody, do you think they would know what these numbers over here mean? What's that 50 mean? All right. Well, it means 50%. So we should put a title on that so people understand that it's like 50% and maybe like 50 million households or something else like that. So to do that, you click on the chart and you go over to that plus again, and where it says Axes Titles, from the drop-down part, from that little additional menu there, that's the vertical one, so you pick that, and it's going to show up there. And then where it says Axes Title, now you can change that to whatever you want. I'm just going to change it to percentage. All right. Okay. Oops. Like that. All right. So there's that. So again, if we were going to, we probably should have in the title U.S. because this, we don't know if this is a global thing or we're talking about Canada or the United States or anything like that. So we need something. The title's not good enough, obviously. Those lines that go across it, those are called grid lines. If you can get rid of those, it's a good thing to do. It makes your chart cleaner, makes it easier for people to look at the pattern and understand what you're trying to talk about here. So if you wanted to get rid of the grid lines, again, click on the chart to make it active. Click on the plus, and where it says grid lines, just uncheck that, and it's gone. Okay. Again, we're not worried about whether this is 51% or 52% or 55%. We're trying to show some sort of pattern here, and that pattern is that across all these income groups, the preferred method is cable. Okay. And that fiber optics doesn't have a lot of penetration, and dial-up, surprisingly enough, nobody really uses dial-up anymore. Okay. And that's what we're trying to say here. We're not talking about, if the numbers are that important to you, you have to put them in a table. All we're trying to do here is give people, an impression of what's hot and what's not. Okay. Now, with charts like this, you can have two choices. Well, actually, you got more than that. We got two basic choices. We can have the bars running up and down, column chart like we have here, or we can have them running horizontally, and that's called a bar chart. So if you want to, you can do that one too. Click here, go to Format, Design, Change Chart Type. And where it says bar chart, you can pick that, and then you can just pick that one, and then just double click there, and you can change them that way. Okay. Now you may want to do this because then it makes those long labels easier to read. So anytime you can make it easier for people to understand your chart, that's a good thing. So you may want to leave it this way. But we love Excel for this very reason, because now that I've got that done, I can just go back to undo and forward, and I can compare the two quite quickly to see which one works better visually. So we've got these two different chart types, and we can just change back and forth overall. All right, I'm going to switch back to the other one, back to a column chart. All right. So this makes it easy to see within each group how much fiber optics is used versus cable versus what, all this sort of stuff. There's another kind of bar chart or column chart. I'm going to pick that. I'm going to pick the next one over, called a stacked column. Okay. And basically, the height of that bar is the sum of those individual bars that we saw before. So in here, it's easy to see the percentage of households in each income group that have access to the internet in 2010. And really, there's not a lot of difference. It's a little bit under 90% for low income, and it's maybe the mid-90s for high-income people. Okay. But it's easy to see that right there. The story I would be trying to tell here is that income doesn't have a big effect on access to the internet. Bang. And I got this picture to support that point. If I wanted to talk about which is the preferred method, whether it's DSL or fiber or whatever, that's a harder thing to do, because then I'm asking them to compare the green bars with the red bars and all that sort of stuff. So if I wanted that kind of story, then I want to come back to here. And now I'm talking about, do people prefer fiber optic or DSL or cable? Here it's easy to see right away. Bang. People prefer cable. So what you need to have is a good, strong idea of what the story is that you're trying to tell, and then you can play around with these different kinds of charts. Why is it continuing to do that to me? All right. Okay? So you can play, again, the strategy is figure out what the point is you're trying to do, build a little table that has just that data in it, label the columns, then pick a column chart or bar chart, doesn't matter, play around with it a little bit, and then you can play around with these different options to see what's going on. Okay? Any questions about this? Okay, so your turn on P2. I'm going to send you to another place that has income or taxes for 2012, and I want you to pull out just New Jersey, New York, and Pennsylvania and compare property tax, sales tax, license, and individual income tax. There are like 4 lines in that table. So again, you want to create a little table out of that information and then chart it. All right, so go ahead and start on that.